that. But let's say this because you guys both tie in two really important pieces, right? You talk about women who are not African American women, and you talk about the experience and what is the influence here. You mentioned social media, but what you're really missing here is the piece that you talk about, the enslavement part. The culture and the trauma that African American men and women and children have faced in this country is like unlike any other group. And so when we talk about trauma, what we know is that Black people have a lot of unprocessed trauma. We have a lot of hurt. We have a lot of harm, not just back then, but right now on the daily, right? And so one of the things that we talk about as professionals within my profession is we talk about how trauma impacts people. And so we love to say, Resma Menakem, one of my favorite colleagues, he says that trauma decontextualized within a person looks like personality. And that trauma decontextualized within a family looks like family traits. And that trauma decontextualized within a people looks like culture.
What's happening, YouTube? It's Jay. Welcome back to the channel. It is who? Questionable behavior. And this morning, I'm starting off with something that I feel is instrumental in the uplift of myself and our people. And that is understanding myself in depth. Not just a little bit, not just going through life, whatever, okay. No, I want to understand what makes me tick. And in understanding what makes me tick, I can make adjustments and I can get even better and better and better. And that's my goal. And that's our goal. I'm sure it's your goal as well. So in what she's saying, she is breaking down very simply that the trauma that affects all of us, especially within the slave mentality and the generational download of every generation that hasn't corrected and dealt with the trauma of slavery, still affects us to this very day. And the problem that I see with most people is that no one wants to admit that. No one wants to face it. Because I don't know that we know how to face it. I certainly did not. But I think I know how to face it now. And by facing it, that means talking about it. That means being vulnerable. That means discussing what traumatic events have affected us in our life. And you really, truly need a therapist to help you with that because they are professionally trained to pick apart certain aspects of our personality to uncover exactly what may be troubling us. So I think she's very insightful. I think she's very smart. This video really isn't about what she's talking about. She's expanding on a topic that's talking about a gentleman who's on the show who you haven't seen yet, or you did see a brief moment of him, but he is the brother who played Biggie Smalls in Notorious. And he's talking specifically about his experience with Black women and how he felt the need to go to other races because he wasn't receiving what he thought he should from Black women, predominantly stress and materialism. And his insights are valid for him, but I don't think apply to everyone. And I'll get into that a little more as the video goes on. But let's dig a little more into Dr. Spirit because I'm feeling her flow. I'm feeling her education and expertise. And I think it could be valuable to us all.
Right. And so when you talk about how African American women present and what they need as it relates to security and finances and the finer things in life and to look a certain way and to want a certain thing from their man and to have certain expectations, it's because of the trauma that we are still trying to survive. And when we talk about feeling beautiful and the BBLs and the Birkin bags and the wanting the nice things and wanting their men to come with a certain level of care and a certain level of treatment and expectation, we are trying to connect. We are trying to heal with you. We are trying to build with you. But there's so much hurt and trauma that we all have that we don't talk about, that we don't even understand within ourselves, so that we can't find who we're compatible with. Because who we're compatible with is traumatized versions of ourselves.
Spirit, do you think that women and men, women that seek the materialistic things, items, the tangible things, and men that just seek the women for the aesthetics, do Do you think those are people that kind of just gave up on love and they're just like going for, all right, well, at least I can see this, I can grab onto this?
No, I think it's science. If you really want to know, we are part of the animal kingdom like anything else. And so what the male species chooses is the thing that's biologically beautiful, because what it suggests from a DNA perspective is you're likely to bear my offspring and they will do well. It's survival of the fittest. And what the female species chooses is the male offspring that can provide the most security, because you're going to be able to protect me and our offspring and raise us, and we will do well.
So we're not gold diggers, it's just science.
It's literally biology. It is literally biology.
We
When
have
you
our
see,
own
listen,
different.
listen, when you see the brothers out there with the rims and the flash and the money and the gold, they're no different than the male peacock that's showing his whole big pretty feathers. Look at me, look at me. And when you see the women that go, show me what you got, show me what you're working with, it's no different than the frog that ribbits the loudest, or the bird that chirps the loudest.
So what do you call a man that's just been providing that doesn't ask for nothing? What do you call the guys like me who we don't ask for anything?
Oh, but you do.
How?
You may not ask it with your words, but your expectation is there. So when you say, I need that woman that loves me, I need that woman that has my back, so I don't have to say, hey, is that bacon and eggs there? Hey,
Okay,
are
mental,
those clothes in
Now, I
the
stopped the video there for a reason, and it is very specific. This brother is not in touch with his own needs, his own mental wellness, okay? He had to be told that he does have expectations of women. Like, he's thinking because he provides money and a stable lifestyle that he's done all he needs to do. And that is 100% untrue. But we have to be taught about these things. He thinks that money is the end all, be all of everything, and it is not. This is the society that we live in. If I lived in a different time and I was the best hunter, bringing in all the food and taking care of the family and protecting the family, well, that would be the most valuable trait. But in this society, the most valuable trait is cash. Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar, dollar bill, y'all. But in that mentality, we forget ourselves. We forget who we are at our core. You can never forget that, because that's where everything starts. So if you don't have money, or as much money, you got to have some money, right? If you don't have as much money as you want, then you lose yourself. You lose who you are. You can't, because you have to be able to rebound from failures and heartaches and everything that happens in this society that we have to overcome. See, that's why it's okay to be vulnerable. He was vulnerable there and didn't even know it. And she broke him down so perfectly that now, hopefully, he'll embrace that and understand it and continue to grow in that way while he's getting all that paper.
clothes in the drawer.
Not cash wise. Okay.
So when we talk about compatibility, right, one of the things that I love to say, an acronym that I use is rises, that some relationships rise, some fall. You want one that rises. Rises stands for the different types of intimacy that make us compatible.
I don't want me to just like dump on the younger generation, but I feel like they are missing something with not getting that time, that talk time.
Well, believe it or not, it's different for every generation. And so every generation is dating differently. So one of the things that I say that the millennials have down that perhaps our generation, because I'm in the 40s too. I don't know, you guys are kind of younger maybe, perhaps.
I'm 48, I'm right with you.
Guys, stick it out, so
40.
we all here. Right, so but with the millennials, they have more what we call egalitarian relationships, where they are equal in how they do things, equal division of labor inside the home, outside the home. They're saying, I have my own bank account, I have my own friends, you pay your half, we do our half, and we all get along. But for our generation, it's a little bit harder because, see, we are caught in the middle. We have been taught by the older generations to date like them, so the men are looking for women like their grandmothers. I want a woman who cooks, who cleans, who holds it down in the bedroom, who does all of those things. But they're not men like their grandfathers, where they could hold down a single income, go to work all day, and then come home. So they want us to do all the traditional things, but then they need a 2-income household as well. So it becomes a very difficult kind of conversation. I'm not letting them listen. I'm not talking about biggie money.
Hold on now. There's some good men out here who got plenty of paper and do everything. Cause
Well,
you said it's not. We
that's
don't
not.
want to do both. Now it's a lot of us that do everything.
Listen, most men cannot do, in today's economy, most men cannot do a single income home. It takes in this society 2 incomes nowadays for most people to hold things down.
We're talking about in Atlanta.
I'm talking.
So I'm pausing the video for a specific reason. Jamal is kind of like acting like he's not familiar with the challenges of finances for people who are working a regular 9 to 5 or running their own business or not rappers and actors, because their salaries are significantly, traditionally, a lot more than the aforementioned people that I just was talking about. So I don't know if he's trying to be cute, but it's somewhat dismissive about folks that are out here hustling and struggling and not making the kind of money that he's making now. Like, has it always been this way for you? And if it has, okay, I understand that you don't understand this. But if it hasn't, which it probably has not been, you haven't been rich since day one, or maybe you have, I don't know. But the bottom line is, people out here hustling, and it's not a simple thing for one income. Forget the fact that it's a man or a woman, single parent family, whatever, to hold down an entire household. It is challenging out here, Jamal. Okay, so don't be cute. Don't be too cute with Dr. Spirit. I know you feeling her, and I can tell by your behavior that, you know, you're really into what she's saying, and that's cool. So am I. But do not dismiss the fact that people are out here struggling, because that is almost arrogant, and I don't like it.
I'm talking about all over the country. The average income, especially in Atlanta, right now we are the #1 city for inflation. So when you talk about just the idea of home ownership, most people are being priced out of being able to live in this city where they grew up. And so it's a really interesting perspective, because right now we need 2 people, we need 2 incomes, and sometimes 3 and 4 with part-time jobs to be able to hold down a household. And so what happens is you have women who are saying, listen, I cannot go to work all day and then come home and take care of kids, do homework, swing from the chandeliers at night, and then get up all over the next day to do it all over by myself. I need your help. And a lot of men go, oh, but my grandmother could do that.
I've been having these conversations with my friends that are all in the mid-40s, very successful women, and then their men are one foot on one way of thinking and the other foot on the other. They want all the benefits of all that stuff. And if you're working as hard as your man or more and contributing 50% or more, are you less motivated to then be that freak in the bedroom and be that enthusiastic cook every day and clean the house as well when you're working just as much as your man contributing to the house? Do you think that's fair? Did you ever think about it like that? Because
I've never been in that situation.
well, you're very
I've
successful.
always been, but nah, I'm not very. I'm regular.
Well, you're not regular. You think you're regular?
I'm always gonna be like that. I'm always gonna be super humble spirit.
Well, humble, but the reality is that you do well for yourself financially, correct?
I'm okay.
So I don't know if Jamal's the right guest to be talking about this, because he's talking about himself being humble and he's okay. But if you notice the way he says it, it sounds arrogant. You know, and the fact and how he talks to people is, I'm just picking up certain things. He's like, I'm good, sweetheart. You know what I'm saying? It's like, dude, you're kind of playing yourself a little bit, because you're not behaving as a humble person. You're behaving as a guy who's trying to act humble, but really is a bit like on your shit. Like, you know, I'm that shit. I'm that dude. You know what I'm saying, sweetheart? Yeah, nah, dude. I don't know that he was the best guest for this, and that's okay. I mean, he can learn. At 49 years old, I think he'd be a little better than this, but education and life experiences are also important. Money being the sole reason that you're confident is a bad prescription. It is not the way to live. The money doesn't make you, you make the money. Okay? And to get that straight will set you free.
I hold my friends accountable. I think you're not a good friend if you don't hold your friends accountable. And if you just go and co-sign their BS, you're not helping your friend grow and be a better person.
Right.
So if my friends are violating and thinking, like, again, even when if a woman says that same, you know, I need a man that has this, that, and the other, and they're not bringing anything to the table, sis, you're out of pocket.
Yeah.
Because you can't be one-sided, and that goes for men and women. It's the same thing to me. You know, I see a lot of people that are bringing nothing, and they demand the utmost of everything. Men and women as well.
But I don't think men can take it. I don't think they can take not being the man in the relationship, the one that's holding it down.
Now, I don't know if she's the best guest for this show either. They seem, both of them, Jamal, although he's 49 years old, and this young lady, seem a bit inexperienced. You know, they're pulling from their own personal experiences, and that's fine, but we have to be more well-rounded and educated beyond our own experiences. We have to know more than we know just in our own life, within our inner circle. It has to be more experiences beyond that in order to give accurate assessments of the questions that they're being asked. And it's not this way for everybody. You know, this is relative. It's based on individuals, as I said earlier, and it's not just about, you know, the status quo and what everybody or how everybody should be behaving. It's not like that. And I think they're inaccurate in their assessments. However, I do believe that money is the guiding principle in self-worth in our society. And I don't know that it should be. Obviously, money is necessary to survive. I'll say it over and over again. And I have a really nice lifestyle, and I don't want to sacrifice any of it. But it does not define me as to who I am at my core. At my core, I am love, kindness, consideration, thoughtfulness, all those attributes that are critical to being the right kind of person, in my opinion. And money is just a subset of that. You know, money helps it, but money doesn't define it. Do you agree or disagree? Let me know.
Now, I have a friend, sorry to put her business out, but I have a friend that she's more successful than her guy. And he always say little things like, oh, when you do this, you probably gonna leave me. You probably gonna, you know what I mean? He always on guard, feeling like you feel like you don't need me, or it's always a really insecurity in him not having more money than her, even though she loves him.
But does she, so, and I understand that, but is it something that she's putting out there at the forefront, or is it just him running with how he feels because he simply, is insecure?
I feel that it's insecurity.
Okay, and the only reason I said that is, and I mean, I think Dr. Spirit, you perhaps can elaborate on it. There are some women who, for instance, I know of a woman who pretty much would talk to her man, and he was exemplifying the color purple. He was Seeley in this situation, so to speak. And she would talk to him very harshly and in public. And I think that, the dynamics of their relationship were going to be tough for them to stay together. And I mean, apparently recently they just kind of, he moved out. But I think that, sometimes it's a little hard depending on that interaction, if it's not really, a clear understanding, you know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be just because you're making more money, obviously, because sometimes at different points you might be.
And as a woman that's more successful than a man, I think you made that decision to get with that man knowing his status. So do not take work home and talk to your man as he's less than, he's your employee,
Right.
or like you're his boss. And you have to be able to know how to turn that off, because you wouldn't want a successful man talking down to you because you don't make as much money as him right now.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I think that's wrong as well. But also, who wants to compete with their mate?
Well, see, and then that's to that point. When it becomes a competition, then your relationship is already doomed.
Yeah.
Right? Because what happens is we miss out on the two becoming one. And if two never really become one, then you're doomed to fail. So what I talk to couples about is really about, it's not what I bring to the table and what you bring to the table. Where is your half? Are you matching? Are you meeting me? It is, what are we pooling together? Because if you've got $10 and this is your husband and he's got $6, it's not you got 10 and he's got 6. It's you guys have 16. And your 16 can buy a whole lot more than your 10 alone or his 6. And so if we are not collectively having the shared vision of where we are trying to go into our forevers are going to part ways. It's just the way that it works. And so we really have to be on the same page, but that's what compatibility is all about when you talk about that.
Is it ever really 50-50 though, Dr. Spirit?
It's never 50-50. It's never. And the other part of that is, do you warrant that which you seek? So to your point, when you say these women come and they say, well, I want a man who has this and this and this. Well, what do you bring to the table that complements that, that is going to nurture that, that is going to grow, foster, and further develop that? But then also, do you understand what you're asking for? You say you want a doctor who's a surgeon. Do you recognize what that lifestyle really looks like? You love a man in uniform. You want a firefighter. Do you realize that he's going to be gone or she's going to be gone 4 days a week at the fire station? Are you really ready for that life? And so oftentimes we don't really have a real idea of what it is that we're asking for. And we're not prepared to step into those places to really grow and continue those relationships. They're fantasies. It's not reality.
Okay, I'm going to bring this one to a close. I really like what Dr. Spirit had to say. I really wish I knew her real name. I'll figure it out. But she really is insightful, has a lot of good information to address a lot of different things. The trauma piece and the slave mentality that the whole video started off with and what the thumbnail is all about is really where I want to focus here, because that generational download of trauma that never gets resolved is a problem. I had to get in touch with my trauma. You have to get in touch with why you're not as good as you can be. And if you think you are as good as you can be, rethink it. Because where is there to go past that? If I'm as good as I can possibly be, well, I might as well go ahead to heaven now. I might as well go ahead and call it a day, because I'm not going to get any better, and I definitely don't want to get any worse. Okay, so we really have to always remain open and optimistic about who we are, what we're doing, and how we can be better every single day. And these are the reasons why. That generational wealth that, you know, the Caucasians have going for them helps them tremendously. But they have issues as well, as we know. It's something that I have to be in touch with, and so do you. You know, if you're going to be good, if you're going to get better, you better be checking on yourself. Be your own worst critic, but don't beat yourself up. Be nice to yourself and kind to yourself, and understand that you have a lot to learn, just like I do. And therefore, I can deal with this. There is nothing I can't overcome, no matter how bad it is. And that's hard to deal with sometimes. Don't get it twisted like I'm making this sound simple, because challenging situations disturb us all, but we can overcome them. We can be better. My name is Jay, channel's Questionable Behavior. Like, subscribe, comment, and I'll get back at you real soon. Peace.